So, um, I do have a disclaimer before this presentation. I have literally just finished my eighth class from ASLH that they did 250, the 250 Wikipedia classes. So I am not an expert by any means, but I'm so glad that you sent out the information about signing up for the courses that they'll have starting in January. I think that's one of the things that I'm advocating for today is that if you have time to definitely do that because I found it really helpful. And the instructor, Kelly Doyle, she is wonderful and really helps you feel like you can, she says, be bold and actually make edits to Wikipedia. So the the thought for today's presentation is really like I want everyone to see how it works, very surface level, and maybe think about the possibility of Rick being able to do some Wikipedia editing. Because we know a lot and we know how to find a lot of sources, and we can make Wikipedia even better than what it is today just by our small group. So this is what I'm hoping to do today is give you a little introduction on like why should we even think about editing Wikipedia? What is it really? Because I've learned a lot about it, where we can play a role as a committee, and then I'll do a really quick live demo, and I'm sure you'll see me make mistakes, but I'm going to show you some of the real basics, and then we can have a Q&A. And I also included in the slides the list of those upcoming courses through AASLH as well. So one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it today is I'm sure you know there is a gender gap in Wikipedia. It is both a content gap, gender gap, as well as a, let's call it, practitioner gap. So more men edit Wikipedia than women do, and there's more content about men than women. So I did a little extra math. This number will vary, but based off of what I found, currently only 19.03% of English Wikipedia biographies are actually about women. But again, that number can range from like 19.8 or higher. And then Wikipedia itself really is bigger and more rigorous than I even imagined, which was really surprising to me. There's a lot of policies on editing that you don't see and that are actually kind of hard to find. And that's the loveliness about the AASLH courses with the Wiki Foundation is that you find out all about this underlying layer of Wikipedia. So these are all, we're going to go through these things, the 5 pillars, who the editor community is, and really the goal of Wikipedia. Even though Wikipedia has all of these policies or guidelines, they're really not carved in stone. They can evolve over time based off of how people edit. So let's see if this works. We're going to go to the Wikipedia 5 pillars page. These are the 5 pillars. One, we have to remember Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. It has general information, it has specialized information, it's got a lot of things, but ultimately it's an encyclopedia. The goal is always to have things written from a neutral point of view, and there are a lot of editors out there that look for promotional copy or people that have a certain point of view. So it's not perfect, but they really do try to have this neutral point of view. It is free content that anyone can use, edit, and distribute. I'm sure you've all been on a page before. You haven't had to register to read it. And you probably haven't noticed the edit button, but even if you've never registered for an account with Wikipedia, you could edit directly on your computer right now, without registering. They really want editors to treat each other with respect and civility. They don't want anybody to be jerks. They want you to make these edits in good faith and seek consensus when there is debates about what is the story. And so there's this whole thing about consensus, and I tell you, it's all of this is a rabbit hole. And we don't have time to go over all of it today, but just know that there's this layer that you've probably not thought about before. And then I think it's important to know Wikipedia has no firm rules. So they've got all these rules, but really there's no firm set rules. We're trying, they're trying to make something good. And see how that goes. I think I also had oh yeah, I forgot. I made a lot of links so that if you have this presentation, you can find it on your own. But here are again the 5 pillars. Now, the editors, I think, is really interesting. This is something that I went into a rabbit hole as well. And like I said, so there's a content gap and there's a user gap as far as gender goes. The editors can really be anyone. They are volunteers. But when we look at the percentage of women editors, really only 10 to 20% of editors are women of any age. Then there are only, like I said, 19.3% of Wikipedia biographies are about women. Now, this is where I want to go back really quick because of the age. So, this is the age distribution for people who are editing Wikipedia. This surprised me that 13% of editors are actually under the age of 17 or 17 or under. The largest group really are editors that are between the ages of 17 and 40. Now, this is including men and women. So I'm also going to show you a little trick here. So this is a page that you're not just going to find unless you're looking for it. It's not on the home page or linked anywhere else. If you look for Wikipedia and then it just lost the 2 dots. It'll tell you. It'll link to like the back end and you'll find a lot of different things on here. Let me go back here. But also they have a handy little thing about who writes Wikipedia. This is also a link where you can go in and read more about it. But often it's men in their mid-20s and are retired. Those are the largest demographic. We also have a lot of students, enthusiasts, insiders, dabblers, scholars like all of you, archivists, marketers, and evildoers. They even included evildoers because they really are. There's another thing on the back end of Wikipedia called sock puppetry. And there are Wikipedia accounts that are actually, they belong to other people, and so they're blocked on this account, but they're using this account as a sock puppet. So like there's so much to go into there, but just know that yeah, there even is a small side of evildoers, but let's try to be these other ones. I've also listed here the policies because there is like a code of conduct, and you learn more about this in the classes, or you can delve in at any time. But again, all of the editors are supposed to be aiming for consensus. And when you look at some of the more popular articles, you can see the back and forth that happens to reach consensus. Now, it feels a little weird to have this slide here, but before I transition to the next part, I wanted to just revisit the goal of Wikipedia, which is to create a web-based free content encyclopedia of all branches of knowledge in an atmosphere of mutual respect and cooperation. And they have this really nice short video that I'm going to play for us, if it works.
There's an edit button. Just click on it, find the place where the text is, and edit. and then click save. It's that easy.
The cool thing about Wikipedia is that you can change things. You don't need anybody's permission, and it's not hard. It looks a little bit daunting at first, but it's really not hard.
People don't realize, I don't know, it's some sort of blindness that people read articles and they don't see that edit button.
Click on that button and see what happens.
Edit.
When you open yourself to something and you go and start editing, all kinds of other things can happen. And that's a really beautiful, like it can be just a starting point. And so it's an invitation for more life.
Whenever we start an article, we don't like it because you find it ugly, but wait just hours and see how it will be developed to great article.
The edit button. Click it and change something, save page. You've made a difference to the whole world.
Save.
I thought that was a fun video because it really is that easy. And um I was surprised about how much I would enjoy making small changes to Wikipedia. I initially took the course because I have several teammates who are interested in doing some programming around edit-a-thons or somehow incorporating Wikipedia. And so I thought, okay, I have some time this fall. I'll take the courses and see what it's like. And I'm having a lot of fun, and hence why I'm here today telling you about it. Demonstration. I'm going to try to show you the editor. I'm going to make a couple of changes. I'm going to show you the sandbox, which is where you can play and write your own article before anything goes live, how to add a source, add an image, and what participating in a wiki project looks like. So the first thing that I want to do, I wrote myself instructions, and I don't want you to have to see those. So I'm going to pull that out on the other side of my computer, and we're going to start with the login page of Wikipedia, because I would suggest that you would go ahead and make yourself an account, which is really easy. This is the login page here. If you don't have an account, you hit join Wikipedia. Once you've signed in, you just hit the login and then you're there. You also have sort of this home page when you have an account that will suggest, especially if you're new, edits that you can make. And then it also tracks for you what your edits have been. So I've not made a ton, as you can see here, but already with the small changes that I've made, like there are people reading these articles that I've been messing around on. Let's see here. Then there's also a user page, and the ones I've noticed, the really active editors have a lot more of information introducing themselves to other editors. So this is where you can put something about yourself, or like what kind of articles you particularly like to edit, etc. And then there's a talk page where nobody's talking to me yet because I've done so few but when you find an editor that you want to talk to, like you can leave messages here and reply sort of in live time. I wanted to show you a talk page that has a little bit more activity than the ones I've been editing things about the West, and not a lot of people have been working on interior West stuff. So there's not a ton of things, but if you look up any particular person that you feel like has a lot of coverage, you'll first see this page. This is what you tend to see when you're on Wikipedia. This is your article. I've pulled up Emmeline B. Wells because she is a Utahn. And then this right here is the talk page, and you just click on that. And you don't have to be logged in to do this. You can do this on your own without having an account. There's been a lot of activity here on Emmeline, so you can go through and read this. Somebody has pointed out that they need a citation here. But if you look, even this was done in 2016. So like if you're going along and you don't have something that you can leave notes like this, and hopefully in an editor behind you can can fill in. The other handy thing to point out here is on every Wikipedia article, if you visit the talk page, you should be able to see what the article is rated and see the content assessment. So this is a B class, which means it's not the highest, but it's actually pretty good. These are the grades for Wikipedia articles. The most basic is a list, a stub, a start. So in the courses that AASLH has advertised, a lot of them suggest like work in this area because you can actually do a lot of good by editing here. And your changes won't disappear in versus like if you go up higher on the scale, these get more eyes on them. They're more in depth and it's harder even to find your place in them to do some edits. But since all of you are scholars, you would be the one who would know the most about maybe this article that somebody didn't. So this is a fun page to look at for all of the articles that you read. And now I'm going to show you the edit page. So again, here's our page that anybody sees, and anyone can go over here to the right-hand side and hit the edit page. And now this is where you can actually make changes. And as soon as you add something in here and change it, this will light up and you can hit publish changes. And it's live, like it's just that easy. They call this the visual editor. This is actually something that they incorporated, I think, several years ago to make it easier to edit. Before that, most people would edit, I mean, the only option was source editing, and that's what that looked like. So that's a little harder to feel like you can get in and just change something. So I don't actually use the source editing yet. I don't feel comfortable enough to know how to do this. But there are a few things that you learn that you have to use the source editor versus the visual. But I don't think I have to show you any of that today because I'm not at that level. So take the class. One of the things that I wanted to show is how easy it is to make an edit. I'm going to take us to this little tiny historic house that's in Idaho. And I noticed this modest home built in C 1921. I don't like that. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to hit edit. I'm going to just say this modest home. I'm going to go, oh, see, I didn't even actually know that. That's a different thing. I'm going to say built circa 1921. And then I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to go publish my changes. And it's best practice to put a little note in about what kind of changes you made. This was a minor edit, very minor. So I'm just going to say, oh, hold on. I just noticed I misspelled circa. Okay, now I'm going to say this is a minor edit. I'm going to hit publish change. And now it's live. If you go to this Hugh and Susie Goff house on Wikipedia, you will see that that is now in there. I also wanted to show you how to add an image. I have a picture of this house, but I don't actually know if I can use it yet. And because I don't know if I can use it, I'm not going to add it. But I did go on a little, let's see here, where is it? I went to the Red Butte Gardens here in Utah, and I saw this lovely bush that was called the Mary Ann Heacock Pine. And I was like, who was she? And lo and behold, she has this teeny tiny article about her. And I would like to add some more information about her, but I haven't had time to do any research. But I took a picture of the pine. Let's see here. I think I'm going to put it here. I'm going to go to Insert, Images and Media, and I'm going to upload one. There is, I'm just going to say this is my own work. They said in the training you mostly want to use the Commons Upload Wizard, but I haven't done that just yet. So I'm going to do it this way. And I can't break it. So if I decide I want to do this differently in a week, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to my downloads because here's my picture of the pine. I took this with my cell phone, so this is my own work. I'm going to call this photograph of a Mary Ann Heacock pine located at Red Butte Gardens, Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm going to put 2025 because I'm a historian. I like to know the date. Actually, I'm going to put November 2025 just to be even more specific. There are categories that help people find images. So I'm just going to put botany on here. And I'm going to save it. And here is my image. I'm going to hit use this image. I'm going to add a caption. Oh. Insert. There's my picture. I'm going to publish changes. I don't think this is a minor edit, but I'm not actually sure. So I'm just going to say added image of the pine. And I'm going to watch this page because I want to know if anyone goes in and makes any other changes. And I published it. Okay, now there's an image, and based on the usage of people who use Wikipedia, maybe now they'll read all the way to the end because there's a picture. And then let's see here. I don't have an actual citation that I can demonstrate to you all, but it is really easy. Again, you just go in to the edit page. Let's say I knew I had something to say about this prairie jewel. All you do is hit cite, and you can do a manual citation here or an automatic, just copy and paste a URL. It was really quite easy to do for the Dominguez and Escalante expedition that I worked on last week. Literally all I did was I came in here and I cleaned up a little bit of the biography of Bernardo here because it was kind of rough. So I fixed it. And then I added this citation to the Pageant in the Wilderness, the story of the Escalante expedition to the interior basin, because guess what? That was published by the journal that is actually one of the teams that I manage here. It's been in publications almost for 100 years, and they published this in 1950, and we have it digitally. So you can go in and view it either on the Scholarly Publishing Collective or, oh, I lost it. This is the only problem about editing is you have a ton of tabs open. So I put it there as a footnote, but I also went over here to external links just in case somebody doesn't have access to the Scholarly Publishing Collective. And I put it on a link to our issue. So now no matter what, anybody can read this for free and see that source. Okay, I think, oh, wiki projects. That's the last thing I want to show you because I think it goes hand in hand with what Rick can offer. You just go Wikipedia, and you search women. There's this large wiki project around women. You can sign up, like you can add your name, your editing name here as an active editor for this project. You can learn about what they're trying to do. What is really nice is they've got this initiative called Women in Red. And basically what that means is red links are things that do not have a page. So they keep a list of women that are, sorry, this is based by title or field. Let's go to rodeo. So these individuals that are in red do not have an actual page. And so if you're looking for something to do, you can go onto the red links and find a page that you can create. Generally, that's the last thing I'll show you is the sandbox up here. If you're making a brand new page, they recommend that you start it in your sandbox. So you basically build a Wikipedia page in here, you get all your citations together, and you get it ready. And when you feel that it's ready to go live, then there's a process to basically move it into the live version of Wikipedia. I don't feel brave just yet to do that, but we could get there. Okay, I'm ready for questions now.
I have a question, Brandi. This is Mary.
I'm Mary.
Um, so how do they accept? So for instance, maybe you don't see one of these women on these pages to create a new page for them. What is the kind of process of them accepting something? Because you don't want, they don't want my sister on there. They don't want
Oh,
people doing, you know what I mean.
yeah, there's this, which I hadn't touched upon. There's a key thing for Wikipedia called notability. So you have to reach notability in order for a page to stay on. And so that is, I took some notes here. Basically, you need, in order for something to be notable enough to survive the bots and other editors from taking it down, is you need to have at least 2 or 3 good secondary sources cited in that to show that you're not the only person talking about this place or this person. So that's also another part where it gets tricky is because they rely so heavily on secondary sources, and really primary sources are not as weighed as heavily. So the goal is to put things up there that people are already talking about or have talked about in the past. You can sprinkle in some primary sources, but those aren't, again, weighed as heavily. And just keep making the case for that place or that person is notable enough. And you do that through those sources and through linking them to other places. And that's why I think you'll see, so I have Julia Morgan here pulled up. Her page is really good. There's a ton of links here. And then also down here on the way bottom, she is linked to all of these other categories. And the more categories that you can link your project to, the more likely it is to stay on. Um, so that was we kind of talked big picture today in our course. Um, and it just, I guess my takeaway from that today is it's important to be doing Wikipedia editing if you can, but it's also still really important for us to be doing the things that we have always done, which is write for journals, try to write for newspapers, like get these women who haven't been written about in often times, like build those secondary sources up, be that person so that there's a case to be built later on to be on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Does
that's
that kind of answer
interesting.
it? Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've always, when I've gone onto Wikipedia, seen all those links at the bottom, but I didn't really understand how important it was to build all of that. And that is a really nice point that you raised about we build the secondary literature that then we may incorporate into Wikipedia entries. We kind of we kind of feed ourselves. Um, but one question, and Rosie may remember that this came up at the board meeting for the collaborative earlier this month. Um, Several people said that they could not edit their own Wikipedia sites, like let's say um, the Molly Brown House in Denver. Um, Andrea said that she can't get in since she, is the director of that site. She can't get in. She's not allowed to get in and edit that. So can you tell us what that's about and how that kind of, um, how those breaks are put on so you can't go in and promote yourself or promote the place where you work?
Yeah, it's their conflict of interest. And let me pull that up because that what Andrea said is true. Here, let me put this in the link in the chat. Um, you're just as it says, you're not supposed to write about yourself, family, friends, clients, employers, or your financial and other relationships. And there are people who watch for conflict of interest. I actually found a really interesting case because I wanted to show you a really active talk page, and I found a Wikipedian in residence here in Utah, and they were completely banned from writing about the LDS Church or individuals that worked at BYU. And it was a big thing. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to, that's just a can of worms. I don't know enough to tell them about all of this ins and outs. But so the safest thing to do is so for me at the Historical Society, I'm probably going to be doing most of this in my free time. But I'm still not going to talk about the Historical Society as an organization. I'm going to be looking at things where I know we have resources that we could share, like the Dominguez and Escalante. Or there's a great article about Alice Merrill Horn, who started the state's first art collection, dates to 1897. And there's no photograph of her, but I know we have a photograph of her in our collection. So I'll go and add that. But it is kind of squishy, this conflict of interest. And it's mainly what I think feels good to you. But just knowing that there are others watching. And I think goes back to those evil doers, right? Like somebody trying to make money or somebody trying to gain more prominence. Like it's not an official check and balances, but there are checks in there. Yes, Sarah and Carla.
Just real basic question. When you go to a Wikipedia page, can you tell who has made the a recent edit?
Oh, yes.
Is that I've never tried. I've never really drilled down to see who's made the changes.
Let's do North Star because I still have that one open. So if you go over here to read and edit, there's also view history.
Ah,
And when you click on that, again, this is something you can see without an account. You can see all of the changes. This is character amount here. I don't know if
uh-huh.
you all can see this very well even. Um, Sorry, I just caught that. Like this person here, colon 328, added 103 characters, whereas earlier, they took away 28. Um, Here's another person. And if you're curious, you can compare the selected versions. You can
Mm.
look at those and see like how, like this is hard for me to read. I haven't spent enough time comparing histories, but I think this is a change. Um, and then you can also, if you see somebody who's been really active on here, you can look at their talk page, um, and see this person must edit a lot because they've put a lot of information about themselves. And this is where others can have like you could just go in here and make a comment to start a conversation with this person. And then you can also go in and see who this colon 328, like what other kinds of contributions they've been making to Wikipedia. Like this person has edited like daily, it looks like. And they must be one who has a lot of experience because they're on the administrator's notice board. Um, yeah. So that's kind of a back end that
Mm.
I had no idea
Mm-hmm. Thank
that
you.
was here. Yeah.
Brandi, Brandi,
Hmm.
when this article came out from the county about North Star House and the two women, and went online on social media, there were a lot of comments made, and a couple of comments were made by a Wikipedia administrator who put in the links for the two women in the house. Um, of course, there's a lot of mistakes. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes before and now even more that needed to be changed. But he noted that he was a Wikipedia administrator and he's up in this area. What does that mean?
Um, I would have to ask our course teacher to know
Okay.
exactly, but like they've made a certain number of edits. I know that can move you up along in the editor. I don't know if there's an official editor hierarchy, but that's what I imagine is the more that you edit, the more experience you've gained. Wikipedia is a nonprofit that has a board, I guess. I haven't delved into this very much. Um,
Okay.
but I did see a page that even reports on their finances. So they do seem to try to be transparent. So if that Wikipedia administrator left
They
their
did.
their login, I'm not their login, but their name, then you can search for them on Wikipedia and learn more about them on their talk page.
Okay.
Um,